So I finally got my hands on the Dell G15 gaming laptop, which came in 2022 with Intel's 12th gen CPU and RTX 3050. It is the Dell's mid-range gaming laptop which provides good thermals and performance for its price tag. It cost around 82,000 on online channels at the time of making this review, which in my opinion is a wee bit pricey as considering it's got i5 processor with RTX 3050. There are other variants available on the website to customize from, like you can choose i7 RTX 3050 Ti or RTX 3060, increase the RAM to 16 GB and get some more storage. Now let's talk about the specifications of this laptop. This laptop comes with Intel's i5 12500H processor with 12 cores and 16 threads, out of which 4 are performance cores and 8 are efficiency cores. It has a 45-watt TDP and 4.5 GHz maximum clock speed. For those unknown with the concept of P&E cores, basically the processor divides the workload intelligently by assigning P cores to the task like gaming or rendering, where more power is needed, and letting the E cores with low power handle less power hungry tasks, thus reducing the use of unnecessary power and reducing temperatures while performing at its peak. It has 8 GB of DDR5 RAM clocked at 4800 MHz. It's loaded with NVIDIA's RTX 3050 with 4 GB of GDDR6 VRAM with maximum TDP of 95 watts. It has a 512 GB of Gen 3 SSD pre-installed. Now let's talk about the screen. It comes with a 15.6-inch Full HD WVA panel with aspect ratio of 16:9 and native resolution of 1920 by 1080p. It has a refresh rate of 120 Hz, which is average at this price point, not very good but not too bad. It comes with 45% NTSC color gamut, which is about 55 to 65% sRGB, which is okay for gamers but not too good for content creators or tasks which require color accuracy. It has a contrast ratio of 800:1. It has a brightness of 250 nits, which is okay for indoors but not too good for outdoors and areas with high lighting. It has a support for G-Sync for a tear-free game experience. It has 170 degrees viewing angles and it comes with an anti-glare display. Now let's talk about the design and the build quality of this laptop. It has an all-plastic body with dark shadow grey color, a textured finish on the top lid, and a matte finish all over. It weighs around 2.7 kg and has dimensions of 14 inches by 10.7 inches by 1 inch. The laptop feels bigger due to the extended back which has air vents on it. But in all fairness, it looks better than most laptops while sitting on the desk with the screen laid open. It feels edgy and somewhat like a compact PC, but in a good way. It has rubber grips on the downside which also elevate the laptop enough to provide a decent airflow. There is no shortage of air vents on the laptop which can be seen on the downside of the laptop, the back side of the laptop, the sides of the laptop, and it also has an added bonus of air vents on the top as well. The hinges feel quite sturdy and there is very little to no screen wobble, but it does have a minor flex on the screen. The side bezels are very sleek. The edges are a bit sharp and sometimes bother while handling the laptop, but nothing out of the usual. It has a full-size single light, single zone, orange backlit keyboard which feels quite smooth and easy to use. It has a good key travel and very rarely has accidental key presses. Backlighting can be turned on or off by pressing the F5 key. However, there are no effects for the backlight and no option for brightness adjustment. The touchpad has dimensions of 4.1 inch by 2.3 inches, which is not too huge. It is fully clickable and comes with multi-gesture support. It felt nice and smooth to use without any problems. Other features of this laptop are as follows. It has a mux switch with advanced Optimus, which means you don't need to restart the laptop to use this feature. It has a support for G-Sync. It has a 3-cell 56 watt-hour lithium-ion battery, which is really below average for laptops nowadays. It will give you a backup of 2 to 2.5 hours in normal usage like browsing, with DGPU off and power saving on. It comes with 180 watt charger, which is not very big and gets the job done easily. It comes with Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth version 5.2 and has 2.5 watt down-facing speakers which provide good loudness and below average bass. Here is what it sounds like. Now let's talk about the ports that come in this laptop. It has in total of 3 USB Type A ports and 1 USB Type C port. Starting from the right side, it has 2 USB Type A 3.2 Gen 1 ports which support data transfer. On the left side, we have one RJ45 Ethernet cable facing downwards, which means you might have to lift up the laptop to disconnect it. Next, it has one 3.5mm audio and mic combo jack. On the back side, we have one USB Type-C 3.2 Gen 2 port which supports data transfer and also gives video output which is connected to the iGPU. It does not have Thunderbolt support, which only comes with RTX 3060 laptops. It also does not have any power input option, which means it cannot be used to charge the laptop. Then we have one USB Type-A 3.2 Gen 1 port which also supports data transfer, one HDMI 2.1 port which connects to the DGPU, and on the last we have one charging jack. Now let's talk about the software support of this laptop. This laptop has its own performance customization software known as the Alienware command software. It provides a few options to user to take control of the laptop's performance. It has options like CPU, GPU, and memory overview where we can see the current status of these elements. Next, we have thermal profiles with which we can control the wattage, fan speeds up to a level, and increase or decrease performance as per the user requirement. The next option gives us control over power options like sleep or turn off display, which is also easily available in control panel of any laptop. And the last option available is Dolby audio support, which helps us to customize the audio profiles of this laptop. It does not provide much use except for some level of thermal profile control, which in my opinion is pretty useless for a software. Now let's talk about the upgrade options of this laptop. This laptop has two RAM slots which can both be upgraded with 16 GB DDR5 memory sticks each, giving it a maximum of 32 GB of RAM. It has only one SSD slot which can be upgraded with a maximum of up to 2 TB Gen 4 SSD with 2280 form factor, or 1 TB of Gen 4 SSD with form factor of 2230, or 1 TB of Gen 3 SSD with form factor of 2230. It has one M.2 slot for upgradable Wi-Fi and Bluetooth cards. I ran a few benchmarks on this laptop and here are the results. Cinebench R23 scored 13,101 in multi-core performance and 1609 in single-core performance. These scores match the performance of last gen Ryzen 7 5800H, which tells you just how much powerful this year's i5 is. Geekbench scored 8019 in multi-core performance and 1629 in single-core performance. 3D Time Spy general score was 5645 and GPU score was 5244 and CPU score was 9864. PC Mark 10 scored 6754. Scores of this laptop are great without any doubt, but 16 GB RAM is a must to get the best out of this laptop. Now let's talk about some gaming benchmarks. Here are a few games tested in this laptop at 1080p with recommended settings. The DLSS and FSR were at balance wherever there was an option for these settings. First I tested GTA 5, our favorite game, and it gave about 120 FPS with 81 degrees CPU temps and 66 degrees GPU temps. Then I tested Forza Horizon 5 and it gave about 70 to 71 FPS at 71 degrees CPU temp and 70 degrees GPU temps. Valorant gave about 300 FPS with 60 degrees CPU temps and 70 degrees GPU temps. Far Cry was tested at FSR balanced and it gave about 85 FPS with 66 degrees CPU temp and 55 degrees GPU temps. Spider-Man 2 Remastered was tested at DLSS balanced and it gave about 65 FPS and 81 degrees CPU temps and 64 degrees GPU temps. RDR2 was tested and it gave about 75 FPS at 93 degrees CPU temps and 74 degrees GPU temps. Call of Duty Warzone gave about 90 FPS at 76 degrees CPU temp and 76 degrees GPU temps. Now as we can see, the gaming performance is really great without any issues and the thermals were also well managed except for in case of RDR2. Still, cooling pad is recommended for playing AAA titles on this laptop. Now let's talk about the usage profile of this laptop, as in for what purposes this laptop is actually good for. After looking at the benchmarks and performance in the games, I can say that this laptop is a suitable pick for esport player games like Valorant due to a faster response times, light to medium gaming, 4K editing, coding, streaming, but not good for AI or 3D modeling work due to low VRAM. 6 GB of VRAM is must for these types of work. Now let's talk about the competition that is similar options available to you in the same price point. Acer Nitro 5 is the best replacement for this laptop as it costs around 82,000 and you can get better build quality with extra features like 4-zone RGB with 16 GB of RAM. But it has DDR4 RAM. In my opinion, it is okay as you can get better things in the same price point, and the difference between DDR4 and DDR5 RAM in gaming is not that huge. IdeaPad Gaming costs around 75,000 for 16 GB RAM and better build quality, but then again it has DDR4 RAM. Asus TUF Dash comes at the price of 77,000 with 8 GB of DDR4 RAM. HP Victus costs around 79,000 with 8 GB DDR4 RAM, but build quality of Dell is much better than the Victus. MSI has two options, MSI Katana and MSI Sword, both at 84,000 with 16 GB DDR4 RAM, but much poorer build quality than Dell G15. You can also buy an RTX 4050 laptop which has 6 GB of VRAM at 90,000 with 16 GB DDR4 RAM. But keep in mind that this is a very low powered RTX 4050. So in conclusion, I would like to say that this is an okay laptop in its segment, not the best or not the worst. It offers latest DDR5 memory but has a lower end screen and lower battery capacity. It has good thermals but has limited storage upgradation available. There are better options available in the price category. So if you are a Dell fanboy or for some reason you can only buy this laptop, it is alright and definitely won't let you down. But if you can go for other options, Dell G15 can be avoided.